Hey, everybody. Good morning, good night, good evening, good afternoon, or whenever you're listening to this podcast. Back with another episode. And as I always say, this is going to be a great one. This is actually, I met this individual many years ago, 1999, the summer. I like to bring to the show Mr. Maurice. I like to call him Mo. What's up, Maurice?
What's up, Keith? How you doing, man?
How's it going?
It's going pretty well.
I gave you a little bit of history. We had talked earlier about how the podcast works. And I will ask you the question I ask everyone. Mr. Maurice or Mo? What do you prefer, sir?
We can go with Mo.
Okay, we can go.
We're comfortable. We've known each other a couple decades now. Mo's good.
Insane, man. It is. I won't even do the math on 1999, but I know people who were born in 1999, and they're all adults. Like, it's insane.
It's a lot. It's a lot to take in.
I already thought I had my life figured out in 1999. Jeez, I could have had some.
I mean, you're doing okay.
I'm doing all right.
We're talking about growing up now. You got your podcast. I mean, growing people's stuff. It's good.
Making millions from the podcast, No.
Yeah, can I borrow $5 though? Just real.
Yeah, no. So what did you want to be when you were growing up, Mr. Mo?
So funny. So as a kid, I didn't have much imagination, creatively, right? So my brain's more logical, math, science. Not much of a dreamer. Well, I want to make a certain amount of money because that would be good, right? And I'm a kid, so I'm only thinking of the economy I'm in at that time, right? And so I was like, well, I'm good at math. I should just be an accountant. That'll be easy. And how much do accountants make? Oh, they make $60,000. I was like, $60,000 a year? I was like, oh man, I'll be real good. Have a nice little car, whatever. That's it. That's as far as I thought. I never was fireman or policeman or astronaut or nope. I was like, no, I'll probably be an accountant. Real boring. Probably get a master's. Did you know what an
accountant did?
All I know is that they helped people with, I thought, finances and numbers, or you work for a company and you process their books. That's all I knew. But I was like, well, it's math related and I'm good at math. So that's not going to be hard. It's just going to be boring. But who cares? I'm going to make $60,000 a year.
Right.
This, nice stable income. I'll be a little bit above, I don't want to say the rest, but the cut, right? So I'm not making whatever I thought $20,000 a year was. It's no, I make $60,000. That's pretty good. It's the 80s. And you're a kid, right? So you're only thinking in your own space. I'm not thinking what it's like in 2000, 2010, when you're actually a grown up, right? I'm just thinking it's like 1989.
The Mongoose and the Diamondback. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So that was it. I was like, nah, be an accountant. It'll be easy. Not really worried about it. And so I probably kept that with me all the way through high school.
Really?
But what's funny is my mom got me an old Apple computer. So my mom was a nurse when I was a kid. And she was born in Arkansas, lived in New York for a while, and then she came to California, which is funny because if you ask her to today, she doesn't like California. I'm like, but you've been here, what am I, 45? So I was like, you've been there for 47, 48 years. What are you talking about? And so she got me this old Apple computer. She said one of the doctors gave it to her. And I would tinker with it and figure it all out and take it apart and put it back together and program on it, whatever, programming was back then, right? Fortran and COBOL. And it would just sit there, whatever. And then later, got another computer. And I always had this little computer thing, that I was like, these are cool. These, no big ideas, right? I know about the Apples of the world and Microsoft. Just the idea of the computer. And I think right after high school, I got into Cal State Long Beach, and I was happy about that. And I thought to myself, well, what if I do something with computers? But the only degrees back then were computer science. And I was like, that's not interesting. I was like, I don't want to do computer science. because I don't want to like program and code. As you can tell now, that might not have been the best decision because look at all the apps and whatever we have now, but it's fine.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, okay, I'll just, muddle around school for a while and we'll see what happens. And nothing. And so then I left Cal State Long Beach, or they invited me to leave. I didn't do anything bad, I just didn't do well, right, in school because that kind of school for me didn't work. Like sitting in a classroom, taking notes, it's not my thing. That whole format doesn't work for me. And so then I just went out into the work field. And I think later is when I was like, I think I should do something with computers. So yeah, at first it was accounting. But I did, like I said, I wasn't a dreamer. I didn't big aspirations for something. I was never one of those kids you could ask, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a fireman. I was never that kid. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah, me
Just
either. My mom
yeah.
told me what to say.
Really?
Yeah, like
So funny.
I don't know. I don't remember. There's one thing I remember. I don't know what grade I was in. I had to be like third because because I remember the teacher's reaction and I remember the lady because she was mean. Miss Hershaw. I don't even know if she's still alive, but she told me, you want to be a neurosurgeon. And I was like, I do? Like, my mom was a nurse too. She worked for Kaiser. And I was like, oh, yeah? And she's like, they make a lot of money. And I mean, like you just said, I don't know about you, but I know for myself, I wasn't raised, and this isn't a knock, but I wasn't raised in what do you really enjoy, Keith? It was, this job makes a lot of money. This is what you want to do. And it was so, yeah, my mom was like, this sounds terrible. It's so embarrassing. But she goes, you want to be a neurosurgeon? Because the assignment, we had to come back to the class the next day dressed in what we wanted to be, which is so stupid. But somebody thought of it. You want to be a neurosurgeon or a neurologist, I'm sorry, which is different from a neurosurgeon. And your favorite food, the lady was like, what's your favorite food? My favorite food was pizza or burritos, right? I was a kid, and which was going to be everyone's answer. And my mom goes, your answer is going to be a porterhouse steak. And I was like, what? I was like, a porterhouse? I'm not joking. And I'm dead serious. And I go, okay. So the next day, like there were some parents that were there. I remember that vaguely. And my mom got me like some scrubs of some kind, like hospital-ish clothes. And it was my time to stand up and tell people what I wanted to be and my favorite food. Why those two were the combination, I don't know. But I remember I said, I want to be a neurologist. And the lady was like, the teacher, she goes, what do you want to be? And what's your favorite food, Hollis? And I go, because Hollis is my first name. I go by Keith. I don't like the name Hollis.
I like Hollis.
That's what everybody says.
We should have went by that in the club, but
hey, we would have got into way more stuff.
Right.
What's your reservation? Hollis Bowers. I've already said that on the podcast. Like, when I was in college and I'd make restaurant reservations, when you think I got $300 tonight. I can go where I want to go, Jack.
I'm Hollis tonight. I'm not Keith. I'm Hollis tonight.
I'd be like, yeah, reservation for two for Hollis. They'd be like, oh, right. And they do the double take like, you're Hollis? We thought Hollis had an ascot tie and we didn't know Hollis needed his transmission changed and we could hear him coming down the street in his Honda Civic.
Right.
Yeah, I'm Hollis Bowers. What's up? I'm coming to the Ivy in Beverly Hills. Anyway, knocking it off track. But I remember that lady was like, what's your job and your food? And I was like, yeah, I want to be a neurologist, and my favorite food is a porterhouse steak. And the lady was like, I remember the look on her face. She was like, oh, okay. And as soon as I said, everybody else's answer was, basic, and my favorite food is pizza. And mine was this porterhouse steak. I didn't even know what the hell a porterhouse steak was. My mom was trying to front in a way like you're big time, like in an adult's world, but I was a kid,
Right.
you know.
Right. And it didn't matter.
It
No,
did
my
not
mom used to only
matter. I was
tell
in third
me,
grade.
my mom would only tell me, well, so my mom is very matter of fact. There's no like fluff. She's not
Yeah, mine too.
bubbly, kind of like my wife's mom. She's real bubbly. My mom is very much like this. This is how it is. Like basically, we all say now it is what it is. That was her back then. Like this is what it is. I'm not sugarcoating nothing. I'm not anything. So she's like, I don't care what you want to be. She's like, whatever you want to be though, go get the paper so then nobody can tell you different. That was her
Yeah.
biggest thing. I don't care what you do. You can do whatever you. She wouldn't like pump me up. You can be whatever you want to be. She would just say, I don't care what you want to do, but whatever you do, if there's a paper for it, go get that paper. So when they go, no, you don't know that, you go, yeah, I do. And you hold up the paper.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, and then that's it. Nobody can tell you anything. And I think she told me that because of her experience. And you have to forgive me, right? I know she's my mom, but she's not one to open up about everything. But in talking with her, of course, when I was younger and now, because I try to learn way more now, of course, that we're older, I want to say that she was a nurse in New York. But in moving to California, like the nursing license, I guess, is not reciprocal. So you have to like get it again.
Yeah.
I don't know if she got it again. I don't know if I don't want to say she failed to get it again. I don't know what happened. But I know after that, her titles kind of changed, right? She was other things, right? She worked in medical records. She did GI lab technician. She was other things, not the nurse title that I was accustomed to hearing her when she said she was in New York. And I think it's because whatever paper she needed to prove, like, hey, I used to do all this stuff, she didn't have that, right? That's my assumption. And because of that, I think that's why she just instilled in me. She was like, I don't care. You want to be an astronaut? Great. If there's a paper that you need to prove that you're an astronaut, feel free to go get that first. And then you won't have any discrepancies with the things that are going on in this world.
Right.
And so I always kept that with me. And so, like, even today, I've got all sorts of paperwork, let's call it, right? Certificates and whatnot that say, yeah, I know what I'm talking about when I do said thing. And so that's what I remember from her. But I could tell you right now, I probably learned what a porterhouse steak was maybe like 5 years ago. Especially not at 8 years old.
No, man.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nah, she was
that's crazy
I
though.
know what she was trying to do, and
Right.
it's cool. You want to make your kids sound cool, and I know that's what it was. I only bring that story up, like you say, like I know that person made a lot of money. There were some years where I knew what a neurologist did because she said you're a doctor for the brain, and I was like, oh yeah, the brain's most important. All of it's important. Your heart's important too, but in the dollar, you're not gonna be successful. Well, I know with raising my kids, I often joke with friends. I'm like, I'm probably gonna end up raising hippies, like because like I every time I go to speak to them about career stuff that thing from my parents is still in me where I go, oh, wait a minute, let me rethink that because, I'm about to tell them like, well, you can make a lot of money if you do that. And it's like, well, wait a minute, Keith, that's not what's driving them.
Right.
Do they enjoy what you're talking about? And it's like,
Right.
no, they don't. And it's like, I mean, I do very well. Like you said, like, hey, we're doing well. Like I do very well, but do I really, really love what I do? Heck no.
Right.
But it is what it is. I've already made. I've already chosen my path. But
Right.
for my kids, I'm all about like, what do you enjoy doing? Like I tell both my kids, I'm like, I don't care if you still live with us. Like, just enjoy what you do. Like, I would really feel good, me personally, if you could look at me and say, Daddy, every time I get up for work, I'm like, how am I robbing these people? Because I love what I do. Like,
Right.
I don't know. I mean, they always
Right.
say, if you love what you do, you never work a day. And you're like, I really believe that. I really do.
I do too. I do too. It's funny because when I have conversations with my kids, they are different from what my mom had with me. It's a lot of it's my wife too. She opens my eyes to a lot of things. She's real insightful. And so I don't know exactly what she tells her, like, when she's with them, but especially when I talk to my son, it's very much about like, you can do whatever you want to do. And we're trying to figure out for him, my daughter too, but, um, how do you get to a place where you can do whatever you want to do and you don't have to worry about money? So you're not waking up and just having to work. It's harder now, right, with this generation and the tech that we have. So everything's very instant gratification. There's a lot of impatience, it seems like, with kids because they never had to wait for anything, right? You don't have to wait for your next TV show next week,
Very
right? You don't
true.
have to wait to watch YouTube, you know, from one room to the other. You don't have to sit in the car and just look out and wait for the next train for 6 hours, right? Watch cartoons the whole time. So, I'm trying to get him to a place where we can have him, he learns like more things than I learned, right? Like investing and all that other stuff that I didn't know when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And so that when he gets to a place where it's like, well, I want to do this. Well, you can because you've got this huge nest egg that you built because you've been working on it. And then also, you can have the free time to do all these different things, but definitely not, make sure you go get your paper. Like, cause when we were young, it was very much the society, even now, go to college, go to college, go to college, go to college. Like, that's it. Go to college. Everything will be better. It's like, but everything won't be better because you go to college.
They
Like,
never tell you how while you're
right,
doing it.
right.
I
And
mean,
that's the hard part. You don't have the roadmap. And then so I don't have the same roadmap because I didn't just go to college and graduate college and get this job and do the thing, right? Or even for people I know who've done that route, I probably make more than them financially,
yeah,
right?
I know what you
Am
mean.
I happier or are they happier? I don't know, right? I know they have still debt, maybe. Like my sister, she still has debt from her degree. Um, Other friends that I have, they have debt still from their degrees. And I'm like, wow, you went that route. I still make more than you. Am I totally happy at my job? You caught me at a very interesting time in life. Because I can tell you,
You sound similar to myself,
yeah,
without saying it.
yeah,
I always say I never know who's going to listen to these
yeah,
episodes 10, 20 years from now. And if I'm some
right.
big wig in my industry that, wait a minute, you hate what you do? Like,
Yeah,
I never, well, I guess just said it, but no, I don't hate what I do.
no,
I know what you're saying. I know what you're
yeah.
saying. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't hate what I do. I like what I do. I have issues with, it's funny because I was thinking about, I was like, do I have issues with authority? And I don't have issues with authority. I'm very much like, and it's not that I want things done my way, but I definitely want to better things. And when I see people like, not that they don't want better things, but there's so much red tape or their hands are behind their back or I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of like America right now, right? So I have kids, you have kids, we live in America. And ever since I think me and you probably graduated from high school, like, remember when we went to high school? What was the biggest thing that happened at your high school? The biggest event, right? It was probably like a fight, maybe even a
Oh,
girl fight,
yeah.
right? That's it. Now look, you go and kids are dying, right? People are getting shot. It's
Yes,
horrible,
ill, man.
right? It's horrible.
Yeah,
And so like
dark
that
times.
happened in New Zealand, I think, and I don't know if they call it the prime minister, the president, whatever. 2 days, 2 days. What do? That's it. AR rifles. We're done. We're done. Kids are dying. We're done. America. Wow, they died again. And and it sucks. Yeah, we should pray for them, and then we should get like stronger windows, like double pane windows in the school. I was like, is that a serious solution? Are you being serious?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should get like two more SROs and a cop to patrol. That's your solution? 2 days this country was like, I'm sorry, how many kids died? We're done. We're done. So at work it's the same thing, right? I see problem, I want to fix problem, or at least work towards solution. And everyone's talking about it and around it and whatever, and I'm like, why can't we make it better? What's with all this extra we're doing? We're adults. We're the ones that are going to fix this. Nobody else. Our kids aren't going to fix this. You know what I'm saying? Like
No.
nobody outside of our company is going to. We have to do it. well, Maurice, I understand what you're saying, and it sounds great. And then here comes the dismissal part of the conversation. It's like, well, okay, I'll
You
just go
know,
back to my corner and do what I do.
right. You know, we have a lot of that at our company too. What I've learned over the years, what it comes down to is you have people, you have the owner of the company, and I don't care if it's Coca-Cola. You have the owner of the company, and then you have what's called shareholders. And it don't matter how good your idea is, the people between your idea and the shareholders is many most of the time. And they're going to cut down whatever you're saying. If it doesn't make them more money, I mean, we see it at my company with things with safety. I mean, I'll put it, for instance, something as simple as they put cameras in everyone's trucks, in the mechanics, the service guys' work trucks. That's great. Now, in theory, this camera, first off, it has AI, so it'll tell you, you know, sleepy, you should pull over. Like, it's insane. But what they're finding in California, and I didn't say the name of my company, so shut up, people. Again, I speak for the future when I, you know, eventually people find out I'm doing this, you know, hopefully one day for a living. They're finding out, as of right now, you're not supposed to work over 16 hours straight. Doesn't mean it still happens. It's just the way it is. However, they're finding in California, per some of my people who are in California, tech-wise, that people are falling asleep on the road. This smart camera is telling people that you're sleepy and you're falling asleep on the road before 16 hours is up. They're telling them this at 8, 9 hours. And you go, oh, well, what are you going to do, Mr. Company? Are you going to say, whoa, this looks very unsafe. These guys are overworked even at 9, 10 hours. You know what? Let's scale it back to 8. And if you have any kind of brain business wise, you go, oh, well, if we let them do that, that means we make less money. Yeah, it does. So where's your safety lie? Where's the idea? And I bring this up for a reason. Like you just said, you have ideas, you know where it's going. Like, it's not so much a free society where it's like, hey, we're going to listen to your idea, man, and it's going to count. No, if the shareholders go, I don't give a dang on about the camera, whatever, and safety and blah, 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 and we only got it anyway because it makes our insurance premium goes down and we save money that way. That looks like income.
There it is.
I still want this guy to be responsible for working 16 hours, but let's not put it in writing. Let's just kind of wing it. And I mean, a couple of lawsuits, like recalls. They're not going to recall a vehicle unless they have a certain amount of those vehicles crash, right? Or whatever the dysfunction is. If we only have 10 of them, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
So all that stuff goes out the window if the shareholders collectively agree, hey, I gave 10 million into this company, or I gave 20 million into this company, and I was promised at least a 10% net, you know, whatever it is, and you're screwing with that right now because this guy is sleepy. Forget that. It goes out the window. So what you're saying, I won't say I gave up on it. I guess I am saying I gave up on it. I just said, you know what, Keith? You can stress about something that you can't change if you want to, or come to work, do your job, and leave it on the shelf when you go home as much as possible. Do not let it stress you out. And I don't. I'm out. I just had surgery, everyone. I started to do a podcast just to talk about that, but why would you want to hear about that? I just had surgery. It hasn't even been a week, and I've had my brother call me, my boss call me, one of our customers call me, and they're telling me about work stuff. When I tell you I am so far removed from anything, I didn't think it would happen this fast. I really didn't. I'm so far removed from stuff that's going on at work mentally. I was telling my brother, I said, I'm going to be honest, I don't know what has to happen. I don't want to go back. And he's like, really? I said, dude, just what you're telling me right now. I don't want to give the Snoop Dogg Dr. Dre answer, but I could really give you know what. I said,
Yeah.
man, but again, to bring it back, because now I'm spinning into a tangent. That's where the having love for something, for doing something, and true interest for something comes into play. With what you're bringing up as far as ideas, things like that, I believe that those people who have a love for something, they're not on, like, they would still, they don't, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I don't believe they get as discouraged as we might when our ideas don't get heard. I don't know. How do you battle with that balance? So your idea doesn't get heard, Mo, and then what?
It's funny because the idea that, how do I want to put it? Like, the discouragement is heavy for me. Like, right, you literally caught me when I told you, when you hit me up a couple of weeks ago and you're like, hey man, let's get on this thing, let's have a discussion. I was like, sure. I was like spiraling in that moment at my job. Like, so many things going on, things I've been told that I've kind of been promised. But then I see other people, getting into those places that I'm not getting into, being told by leadership that you've done such a great job at what you do. We can't lose you, meaning you can't leave. Of course I could leave, right?
Oh yeah.
But we also can't give you what you want, because if we give you what you want, the business will be hurting. And I'm like, but that's not my fault. I'm the one, right, out of the people I'm surrounded by, that has been grinding, right? Not only at work, but in personal life. So currently right now, remember I told you I went to Cal State Long Beach and they invited me to leave?
Mm-hmm.
Since Cal State Long Beach, I've been to like 4 other colleges just to take courses, not to like get something. And right now I'm going to Capella University just to get my first bachelor's. And immediately after that, I'm going to go get a master's from, I think, WGU. And it's going to be in information technology, because that's what I do now. But I wanted to make sure I didn't pay for it, because like I told you earlier, there's people surrounding me who all have these degrees. They all don't make what I make, yet they're still paying for these degrees, right?
Right.
And they're all, what are we, 40 something? So
Yeah.
they're in their 40s, they're in their late 30s. Like, a lot of people, every friend I have has a degree, but I don't know how many of them have even paid it off. And I'm like, dude, you guys went to college when I was hanging on your couch, like bumming Newports. You're still paying for that? So it's a lot, right? So to bring it back to work, for me, I was going to ask you, like, I don't know how you removed yourself mentally, because that's my issue. When I was younger, I could do that. I think because my jobs, I don't want to say they're not important, but my first job was at Staples. Whatever, dude. You're stocking shelves, you're a cashier. I was really good at it. I don't have to take anything home with me. I did some call center work. I was an office manager for a while. Even when I got into tech, I was like a knock technician. I didn't take it home with me, because there was nothing I had to be thinking about in like the off season, I call it, right? In your home time.
Yeah.
But now in my job, I have projects. I have these big things that we're doing with this organization that they're depending on me, right? So that stress sits with me, because when I'm not at work, I'm still thinking like, well, how do I build this network?
Yeah.
How do I get this thing like this? Because I'm worried, like, if I can't produce, not that they're going to fire me, but it's a responsibility I feel I have, right? I know people are counting on me. I like the little pressure, right? The little stress, but like in the last couple weeks, it's too much, where I'm like, why am I still thinking about work? Because this thing is due on Friday. This thing is due on Wednesday. Oh shoot, you forgot about that. I don't want to do that anymore. It's too much. And I feel like, this is my feeling, I feel like it's all on me. And by the conversation I have, nobody will tell me that to my face.
Oh, of course not.
What they tell you is, but you're doing such a great job. You're so awesome. I'm like, okay, so you're just patting my butt because you have a different objective. You have a
Mm-hmm.
box that you need to check, and
Yeah.
I'm that pencil. So
You
how
are
are
a
you going to get
racehorse
me
that
there,
they're
right?
trying to get another
Right,
100
right,
yards out of, and they're hoping they
right,
can do that. That's their
right.
yeah.
You're exactly right. But for me, I don't do, how do I put this? I don't want to say I don't do what I love, but I guess, yeah, I don't do what I love. I do something I'm good at. I do it for a company. I should probably tell you because everyone's like, "What do you do?" So
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I know what you do, but these
right,
people don't. Right now, they're thinking you work at the zoo and you feed the
right,
elephants.
exactly.
So
Well, they're not far
you
off.
have a computer in your hand while you do
There's
it, but you
lions and
feed the
tigers and
elephants.
bears.
Yeah.
Right. So right now my title is I'm a senior network engineer and I work for a healthcare company out of my little stint in Arizona. So it's a
Oh, okay. There's the
nonprofit.
tie.
Yeah, it's a nonprofit, right? So it's a nonprofit hospital or hospital, I don't even know what you call it, hospital group, medical group. They have hospitals, they have clinics, it's like Kaiser, right? Like if I
Yeah.
work for Kaiser, but it's not Kaiser. And so, I'm one of the go-tos or the go-to if you maybe even ask around. And so with that and being in IT and working for this nonprofit, I'm not working for Apple. So I'm not out here building phones and doing
Mm-hmm.
cool tech stuff. So I know I'm giving back to that community, right? Because those are patients in hospitals and people with cancer and broken bones and like you had surgery, right?
Right.
So I know the work is meaningful, which I appreciate, and I'm good at it. It's very interesting. It can be challenging. All that is great, and I would do it for life, right? I would do it, but to say that it's what I love, no. I like the idea of it because I'm helping people and all that. What I love is teaching and training. And I think I learned that a very long time ago. But as you get older, you start to look back and you go, "Oh, that's why." So when I was a kid, I remember being in second grade. I don't know why. Our teacher would have us go into the library, and at the school, the library had like a stage, like a little
Really?
raised stage where like, hey, I don't know, I guess we would put on plays or something. I don't know. I was like second grade. But we would watch stuff on this little stage in the library. It was cool, like a little auditorium kind of deal. And they would have us go up there and they would have us do quotes. Now I can't remember them all now, but like we would do quotes like "Give me liberty or give me death," like John Henry's, and I can't even remember all the
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
But we would do little quotes, and they would be like, "I want you to act out this quote." And I would get up there and I realized I had this stage presence and I was real comfortable on stage. I'm like 7 years old. And I'm like, dude, this is easy. I love this. And I noticed I always liked talking in front of people. So I had to give speeches in, I think it was 11th grade for English class. I wouldn't even prepare. I would do it on purpose. I would just go to the class and then I would be like, watch, I'm going to give an awesome speech. That's what I would tell myself. Boom. Teacher gives me an A, on Friday or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, like, I'm really good at this. Like, this is crazy. And I have no fear. Like, I'll get up in front of people like Madison Square Garden or something and just be like, what's up? Let's talk about it. It's
Right.
not a big
Right.
deal to me, right? Where I know for some people it is. And then I started learning that I like to show people how to do things, right? Train them. So working at Time Warner Cable and things like that, I would show people this is how you do this, and I put on a training class, and everyone's like, "Wow, he really knows it." And when you can train somebody to do something, one, that's the best way to learn it because you have to say it in a way that somebody else is going to understand it,
I agree.
and two, you you just really get to know that material, right? And so I would do training classes there and different places. And my mind started to put together like, I think I want to be like a trainer or like a teacher. And so I take all that and I go, what can I do, right? Like, how can I do that? Hadn't figured anything out yet until probably earlier this year. So earlier this year, talking to my wife and stuff like that, talking about work, how it's getting more stressful for me because I've probably been in this position. I've been in this position for 8 years, and I've probably been at I would say the top, right? So I'm the go-to guy for probably like 5 years, maybe 5 or 6. just
Okay.
through attrition of different people on the team, right? Because other guys have moved on to other things or left the company or whatever. So, you kind of bubble up. But I've also been like getting more certificates and learning more things, right? And then, they put me on big projects that were successful. So they're like, well, you're the guy. And so it's a lot. But then, and me and my wife talking and whatnot, she's like, well, this job's going to kill you. And I was like, well, thanks for that. No problem. And so I was like, yeah. And she's like, and I figured out, like, I want to be like a teacher or a trainer. And I was like, well, my work will pay for school. So I started going to school. So they're paying for it. So I have a year left on the bachelor's.
Nice.
If I can do the master's in like 6 to 12 months, right, on one of those, I forgot what you call it, like competency based type
I know what you're trying to
programs.
say. Right.
Yeah. Then I can probably get my master's and become a teacher at like a college or something like that, right? And if I can teach a few classes, get my feet wet, all that stuff, maybe a couple schools, I can probably build up, not a nest egg, but I probably won't make what I make now, which is fine. But if I make good enough money, that'll probably be the end of my residency in the United States. Because,
Oh, shut up.
yeah,
I did not think you were going to go that route.
yeah, we, I don't know. There's a lot. And now, me and you, we don't come from the same place, but we have some similarities, right? If you're looking at us, and with that,
Right. Where are you
being in
trying to go, man?
America,
You trying to pull a Dave
right?
Chappelle? Where are you
No, no, no,
going?
no, 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 no. Just the
At
fact
least
that, like,
tell
being in
people before
America,
you leave.
right? No, no, no. We'll let everybody know. That's why
I'm
I thought
joking.
when you said, oh, you can keep your same number. I was like, well, that would be cool. I'll just keep this number until I die. But regardless, being in America, right? Being a black man in America, being all sorts of different things, right? In America, you got the school shootings. I have kids, right? Being black, of course, growing up in, Southern California and then moving, and now I'm in Texas. So that's definitely different than California. All these things that are going on in society have us feeling some sort of way where we're like, is this is this the best quality of life we can have here? Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good stuff about America, but there's a lot of stuff about America that's like, I don't want to deal with that. Some people
Right.
come here and they're like, I mean, like if you ever watched Hassan Minaj's first stand-up special and he talks about how his dad came here and like a thing happened to them, right? A type racist thing. And his dad like brushed it off, like, look, dude, that sometimes you got to take some things to get some things. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, 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 I'm not doing that because I've already been here and taken some things. And for what? I didn't do anything to anybody. I've been in some situations where I'm like, are you serious? For what? You don't even know me. If you knew me, you'd be like, oh, I shouldn't do it to that guy. But
If you knew me,
regardless,
you'd
like,
think I was cool. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But I don't want to play that game anymore. I also don't want to play this whole, everything's expensive. You pay for college, you do this, you do all this other stuff. I don't know. The idea is if I can get out from under engineering and get into teaching and get it to a place where, yeah, I don't make as much as I make now, but I teach, I love it, and then I don't need I don't have the same expenses I have now because of course, like you, right? Expenses are high. My mortgage is high. My kids go to a certain school, which is great, but the property taxes make it so that all that's high, right? Food is high, everything's high, which of course we're talking about a time where we went through inflation and a pandemic and blah blah blah.
Right, right, right.
But and then the surroundings. I mean, to me, some people are like, yeah, let's drive around the 50 states in RV. That's never been me.
Wait,
I don't want to go
you're
see
talking
Montana.
retirement or you're talking career
Yeah,
shift?
no, I'm talking retirement. Like the goal
Okay. I'm
now.
thinking you're
Now,
talking about a career shift and still work. Well,
oh, almost. So here,
yeah, 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 yeah.
I'll
I think you're
I'll
saying both.
clarify it for you. I am
Okay.
saying both because my thing maybe for the last 10 years has been like, how do I reach financial independence? I know people talk about fire, right? And some people think it's a buzzword. Some people are like, whatever. I say retirement to people and they're like, that's boring. And I'm like, you like going to your job every day? Nobody ever goes, hell yeah. Nobody ever says hell yeah. Some people say it's cool. They say yeah. They say. And I say, well, what if you had $3 million sitting in your bank account and you can make whatever decision you wanted to make in the morning? Doesn't that sound better? And their brain shuts off. And
Right.
I go, that's weird. I mean, everybody wants to do what they want to do when they get ready, right? If I want to get up right now, get on a plane and go to Magic Mountain, that's what I want to do. I just don't have the resources or the time because I'm supposed to be at work, right? Or I'm
Right.
supposed to do this thing. But if you could do whatever you want whenever you wanted to, why would you not make that happen? So my thing is, or the plan is,
Okay.
in 5 years, to be in a place where, first of all, I love to live there, right? I realize there'll still be discrimination, but whatever. But I love to live there. I don't have to worry so much about, I guess, money in general, right? So I'm in a much better place. And yeah, I'll call it retirement. People will think, well, they have their idea of retirement. But my goal is by 50, I only have to work if I want to work. And if I don't want to work that day, I don't work that day. And I think getting out from under the or getting out from America will help with that because it's expensive to live here, and also getting out from under my job because of the stress. So teaching to me won't be stressful, and hopefully I can do a lot of automation to help that, and then I can do what I really love, which is travel. And
Hmm.
so that's all I want to do. And
Now,
my goal is
is your
50.
wife on board with this too, or
So funny you ask. We had a conversation in February of this year. I laid out all the numbers for her, and she was like, "Do it. Do it
really?
right now." Yeah, she actually doesn't even want me to. She doesn't want me to work at my job anymore because of the stress. She doesn't want me to. I was like prolonging things because I was like, well, my job says that they'll pay for the whole school if you stay at 2 years after. And she's hitting me with probing questions like she does my job, right? Like troubleshooting. Okay, so what if you leave? Do they pay you out your vacation? How much would you get? How much would we owe? Da da da. Whatever. She wants to leave yesterday.
Really?
She's like, yeah, you know, I'm out, whatever. How do we get our kids to a safer place? How do we get your life not stressful? How do we get to where I can have coffee and have beautiful settings every morning? Like, what do we need to do? How do we do it? So she didn't even know I was thinking of this plan. And then when I showed it to her, she had her own questions and insights. And then from there, both of us tag teamed and we're like, oh, we're so on the same page. We didn't even know yet. And then it like took off like a rocket. So
Hmm.
now we're both in a place where like, okay, so how do we get to here? How do we do this thing? Hey, did you do the thing over? Yeah, I did the thing. Okay, good. Okay, good. Yeah, we're like peas in a pod. It's crazy. I didn't even know. I thought you'd be like, well, I don't know, and because we're not like risk takers or anything. Nope. I showed her the plan, and she was like, "Oh, that's your plan? Cool. I got some more ideas. Here we go."
That's
I was like,
dope,
"Oh, you're
man.
awesome." I was like, "You're awesome."
She's on the same page. I mean that.
Oh yeah.
You're forging your own path. I mean, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. And what frees us up in this life, unfortunately, financial.
Mhm.
Got to have financial. All of this is
Mhm.
great. Like I always say in the podcast, what did you want to be when you were growing up? Because dreams are free. I haven't met anyone yet, and it's kind of my own secret little goal for someone to say, I grew up wanting to be a lawyer, and I'm a lawyer now. It might be a very boring episode, actually, but I haven't had that episode yet because everyone changes course. But to forge that path, I know what you mean. I get what you're saying. I won't say I want the same exact thing as you, but just in doing this podcast, I don't, people, like I've said many times, people are like, oh, well, if you go this route, you can make this much off of it. Like, I know I live by a principle. If you love what you do, if you enjoy what we say love too much in this society, but if you enjoy what you do, the money's going to come. I believe, call me crazy, I believe the money will come with this podcast one day. I mean, I would love to that sends me into a whole nother tangent with some things that I'm working on in the background with this podcast. I believe that's already happening. I'm on my way. And again, it wasn't my goal. My goal is just to have fun with this. But I follow what you're saying. Just in doing this podcast, that I hate to use this word because everybody uses it nowadays, but that vibe that you're going for as your goal, it's a place that you want to kind of dwell in mentally, because that's the bigger picture, right? It's not, oh, there's no guns in this place we're moving to. Of course, there's guns everywhere. There's bad people everywhere. You'll never, ever, I don't care where you are on this planet, be able to stop a random act of violence. That's the misconception that people have when it comes to these things. But that vibe that you're going for, I'm searching for it too. And I'm willing to do it for free for now, just because it's fun. It feels good. There's nothing better than when I tell somebody about the podcast, and I can look at their face sometimes and they're like, oh, they're winding up for the pitch because here it comes. It's going to be some weird Primerica, multi-level marketing thing. Like, this dude's going to ask me for something. And when I know, because I used to do real estate, and it used to be, I know you're only calling me, or I know you only drove all the way down here from Santa Clarita. You're in Santa Monica at 11 a.m. You only drove down here for one goal and one goal only, to take something from me, whether it be my time, my property, with a great deal, or whatever. You're trying to take something from me. What do you want? I know, we all know when we get that phone call. Now they got robots calling us. I
know.
Which I always know, because there's a 5-second delay before the person goes, yes, hi. And it's like, click. I don't even hear. They could be. I probably could have won $1 million 5 times in the last 3 months. I would never know, because robocalls I will not answer. The same way I will not answer, and it's been this way for almost 20 years, and it's just the way I was raised. Do not knock on my door. You could be coming to me saying, "Hey, I have guaranteed winning lottery tickets. I just want to give them away because I have too much money." I wouldn't answer the door. I hate it with a passion. And in LA, we're used to ignoring people. When I moved here in Georgia, everybody's so nice. They knock on your door, and it'll be, I don't care if you're a kid. I'm like, ain't this a bit? Like, you got chocolate bars or, some flyer. I'm like, don't answer the door. Like, my mom would stare. I'm not joking. Certain groups, and I'll leave it at that, will knock on your door on a Saturday morning. At least they used to in LA. And my mom would, just the way our house was built in LA, she would look right at them while we're sitting there eating our breakfast, and they'd just be knocking at the door, and they could see us through the window like we're home, and my mom would be like, don't move, keep eating your food. And it would be like,
funny because my house is built like that right now. Like, you can see from our dining room table, you can see who's at the front door, but we have a dog. And the dog, she's the nicest thing, but if you come to the door, she will bark her head off, and people will be like, oh my God. So when like Amazon comes, or people we don't like, hey sir, you solar, we just let her bark. Like, nah bro, when you're done you can leave.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're right, it's different because California has its own, like you said, the word we don't want to use, but it has its own vibe.
Yeah.
And it's different when you come down south. It's different. Like, coming here, when you see your neighbor, like, maybe in California you say, what's up, right? Throw your head up. Maybe you wave a little bit, right? Put your hand up. Maybe you don't do anything because, very tunnel vision in LA. Right. Here, it's like customary to have like an 8-minute conversation.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I got stuff to do. I can't talk to you for 8 minutes. Like, no, you can.
It's changed.
And it's very different. It's just very different.
Well, no, what I was going to say, it's changed in my neighborhood, Justin. We've been here 7 years. And when we first moved here, it was like that. And I've met a few new neighbors, not all. It's changed. Whereas, like I told my wife, I said, you know what's funny? I said, I feel like we're back in California. We've had so many transplants move from not just California, but other states where they don't do that.
Yeah.
Where when I first moved here, I was like, this is so cool. People wave at me as I come out of the housing track and I wave back at them or whatever. Nowadays, like, I don't feel like waving at the people. I dang on sure don't feel like, talking to them at the mailbox. They don't feel like talking to me either because they're from Florida or they're from wherever, like where people don't care. And I mean, I'm not saying that's a good thing. It's not. I mean, I enjoyed the rosy Disneyland version of life, but yeah, we have a lot of transplants here, and it's kind of beginning to shape things in our little town. I don't know what it was before, but I know like things are getting built up out here. It's not. I don't live in a very city area. I live in kind of a rural area with the city 10 minutes away, which is good. I like that. I didn't appreciate it when we first moved here. I was actually pretty pissed off because I wanted the city. Hey, I live near a Whole Foods, a Sprouts, a movie theater, all that. Like
we wish we had that. Whole Foods is far, Sprouts is far. That's one thing I miss about California. There's like 80 of everything.
Yeah.
And you can, you don't have it? Oh, I'll go. Like in California where I lived, I think I had access to 5 IKEAs within 30 minutes of my house. But now there's one IKEA. Yeah. So if they don't have it, oh well. And it's funny you say that because where we live, if you looked on the map at my address and you look immediately 2 miles to the east, it's just farms, cows and farms. And I'm like, dude, I live in Austin, right? I live in Austin. I know it's Texas still, right? And I know it's still there's a lot of rural, but dude, in California or even Arizona when I was there, even Arizona, when we moved there, I was like, where's all the stuff? Why do you have all these open pieces of land? Like, where are the strip malls? Right? You should have stuff here. There shouldn't be dirt and grass. What? You haven't done anything. Then you come out here and you're going to the grocery store and you're passing a pasture of cows. And I'm like, where do I live?
I love my commute though. I do.
Really?
Getting on the 5 freeway and heading south to the 405, and just sitting in traffic, staring at the Budweiser plant near Tommy's off of Roscoe. And just doing that as opposed to sitting on this road, it's not a highway. It's 140. It's like I don't know how to explain it, but they
farm to market road or something.
It's like
right. You gotta learn all the terminology.
I don't know what you call it out here. They call it they'll call it a road or a highway, but it's not a real highway. Highway to us means a freeway, and we call it the freeway in California.
No,
but
don't do that out here.
Oh, you're over on Highway 127. Blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I guess so. Like, it's not a highway. Right, exactly. It just looks like a regular street. But, I'll sit on that in traffic. But I'm staring, like you said, at cows. There's money, though. Like, I'm staring at cows or I'm staring at horses, and it's on someone owns a huge horse. How can I relate this to people in California? You own a boat. You obviously won't take a large yacht home. You leave it at the dock in Marina del Rey. Well, they have that for horses where it's just stables. Like, hey, I have a regular house, but I'm doing so well that I decided to buy my own horse. You leave said horse at this place and they charge you, I would imagine, monthly for grooming, feeding, blah, 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 blah. And you come and ride your horse when you want to ride it or pull it off to a race. They have all these places. So it's really nice properties that I stare at. And I take that over staring at the San Fernando Valley any day. It's a much prettier. Right. It smells better. Right. Yeah, no. It took a while to adjust, but I'm so adjusted. Every once in a while, I used to get the argument, yeah, but you would move back if you could. And I'm like, nah. No, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't. Yeah, we talked about that. When we were in Arizona, we were like, do we move to Colorado? Do we move to Austin? Or do we move back to California? And we went back to California, visiting friends, right? Mm-hmm. We were like, well, first of all, we can't live where we used to live because now we're priced out. So
yeah,
I grew up in I was born and raised in Santa Ana, obviously, right? I still got the same 714 area
That's where the
code
club
number.
was. That's where the
Right.
club
And
was
so,
for the beginning of the podcast. It was Santa Ana. I
okay,
remember
there
now.
you go.
I forget. You
So
forget
then,
when you move away. Correct me if I'm
yeah,
wrong. Don't you forget the names of towns or streets, and you live there all your life?
bro, it's embarrassing to say this, but sometimes we'll go back to California and I'll have to put Google Maps on because I'll be like, wait, so if I take the 5 and get to the 55 right here and I get off on 4th Street, is it going to take me back to the thing or 1st Street? Because then
Mm,
you forget the little intricacies that you did every single day. So I'll be
yeah.
like, I don't know. I don't care. I'm getting to my 40s. I'm gonna be 50s in a few years. That's why they created Google Maps. Here we go.
Yeah.
Click. So after, let's say crying on the couch for 20 minutes, because it's a lot of pressure, right?
Oh,
You're
yeah.
a
No, you're
husband for a
preaching to
little
the
bit.
choir. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're a husband for a little bit. Then you have a child, and it's like I gotta make big boy decisions, like for real. Like lives are in my hand. At least that's the way we dealt with it or felt because we're of Christian faith, and I was raised Baptist, and so the whole patriarch, matriarch, or whatever. And so just thinking in those terms, right? I'm not talking politically or anything, just in those terms with our faith. So I was like, okay, we gotta make some big decisions here. When we left, and we look back now, why we would never go back is because it doesn't offer the things that we want at this phase of our lives.
There you
But when
go.
we were
Yeah.
young, it was fun, right? I'm hanging out with you, we're going clubbing, and I'm over here and I'm doing snowboarding and I'm doing all and
Mm-hmm.
you're in it, right? And you're young and you have that invincibility, whatever they call it, when you're in like your 20s and you feel like you can do everything. So for me, kind of like you, it's great. Like I grew up in California. I still, I tout it. I got little California shirts and California hats and
Oh yeah, no.
I like,
Dodgers
but
won the
like,
World Series. Man,
yeah,
I rep.
you know what I mean? I
I
was like,
miss
yeah, I
it.
wish the Angels would have won, but oh well,
Oh,
we all have our teams.
that's
We all have
called
our teams.
prayer. But yeah,
Right.
no.
So it's cool. Like California is cool. And my wife would have talks about her. Our goal now, well, not our goal, I should say, but our next trip is Japan in March. That's where
That
we're
would be
trying to
dope.
go as a
Yeah,
family. Trying to
yeah.
do that for a week. Because we went to Europe recently. Well, now it's been a year. It's actually almost been a year, almost to date. Um, so like we're just trying to now as a family go like all these different places. And so my wife wants to do like New Zealand, I think more. My daughter picked Japan. I'm trying to ask my son, where do you want to go? Like where? Let's go. Pick a place. Let's go there. Like let's go see
Conversations
what
we
it's
did
all
not
about.
have with our parents.
No,
Yeah.
ever. We only drove to Arkansas. And that was like because my grandma
Yeah.
died.
We drove to Oakland. I mean,
I've never even been to Northern California. Like I've never even
yeah.
been to Oakland. I went to San Francisco recently, but that's only like through the airport.
You know what
Like
though? The bigger picture, like it's not a knock on our parents. Like our parents did
no,
what
no,
they
no.
could, and
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm in the wrong demographic. From a sociology standpoint,
Mhm.
nobody did. I haven't come across any friends that were like, "Oh, well, actually, we spent all of our summers in the Bahamas." Like no,
No,
nobody's
no,
parent did all of that stuff.
no.
We all the same way, at least in my experience. Nobody's parent, like me and Ples talk about it all the time. Have you ever, as a kid, you're eating your cereal. Oh, Saturday morning, Dad, where are you going? I'm going to the gym. I'll be back in a bit. Like, parents didn't go to the gym.
Never.
No, they just worked and came home, and took you to stuff, and took you to get school clothes, and took you to the doctor or whatever. Like, no, like our generation is the first generation, middle class wise, of that. I'm gonna go for my kids grew up watching me put tights on, or coming, actually, they didn't watch me because I'd be 4 a.m. I go for my 5-10 mile runs and come back home and in my Nike tights, make them pancakes. And that's regular life for them. And what happens as a result, generation wise, their generation, at least in theory, advances a little further. They know this is the bare minimum. you must have some type of fitness routine of some kind, or your quality of life, they don't even know what the quality of life without it is going to be. I mean, they always, Daddy, can I come with you to the gym? And I love it. I'm like, yeah. Like, and traveling, the same thing. Like, I tell my wife sometimes, I go, when we're on those couple grand trips to Disney World or whatever, I always lean over and I go, this is the bare minimum for them. And she, what do you mean? We went to this and we went to the state. I go, no. This is their version of going to Sizzler back in the 80s. Like, to us, exactly. Sizzler was, we going to Sizzler? I get the salad bar?
That's
okay.
The perfect analogy, because I remember, me and my grandma and my mom, we would go to like Pizza Hut, but like the restaurant.
Yeah, the restaurant version, right?
Or we'd go to Sizzler when she come out, like, because if she wasn't out, she lived in Arkansas. If she wasn't out with it, we weren't going to Sizzler. No, like we weren't. No. Like if she didn't come visit, we weren't going to Sizzler.
Oh yeah,
like my mom,
going to a restaurant was a treat.
No. There was none of that.
Yeah,
my mom cooked every day.
My mom did too.
When I would go out with my friends when I was like 20s, like, meeting you guys or whatever, I didn't even know what ranch dressing was. We didn't have ranch in the house. She's like, nope, I use Thousand Island. We have ketchup. Oh my gosh, mustard.
Yeah, Thousand Island. My dad loved Thousand Island. That's all I knew. Yeah. Ranch was for, I won't say when we got fancy, but my brother liked it with his chicken nuggets and fries. If it didn't come from McDonald's, we didn't know. God,
I had no clue.
I was the last podcast guest. We were talking about this. I think that's a culture thing, Black people wise. Like, there's certain things that's like, I know there's other people that are like, are you insane? Like, that everyone knows that. It's like, no, we didn't. Like, we just didn't.
No, that's not what we did. No. Mm-mm. So you could be right, but you're right, because we went to Seattle. Well, we went to Seattle and Vancouver in the summer, and we got first class on Delta.
What are you talking about? Like when you were a kid?
I didn't. No.
Oh,
like
okay.
6 months ago, 4 months ago.
Totally craps on the point you were making.
No. 4 months, like 4 months ago. Now we didn't pay. We didn't pay for first. We didn't pay for it. So I'm not trying to sound like, I got first class money.
You're supposed to lie. You're supposed to ball.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's okay. I can be transparent on it. But I didn't. We didn't pay for it, right? We used points. But my wife looked over at me and she goes, "You see your kids over there in first class?" She's like, "That's pretty awesome." Kind of to your point about like that's their bare minimum.
Yeah.
Like I'm 40. I'm 44. I was 44. My first time in first class. My son was 10. My daughter was 9, and they're already in first class.
Yeah.
So like when they look on life, when they're 40, they're gonna be like, "Nah, dude, we only do first class, or we only ball out of control." Not in a squandering way, but just the idea that like I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna be 2.0 or 3.0.
They won't even look at it as doing. Yeah, they won't even look at it as doing better, which is kind of the goal. Like as society, every generation is supposed to grow. But I love it. Like I tell my wife sometimes, I go, you know how jacked up my mind is. Maybe it's a little self-deprecating. I don't know, but one day they're gonna, I don't know, I hope this doesn't happen, but they're gonna be like, you didn't do that much for me. Oh, what do you mean? Yeah, you got me my car. You got me my first car, and it was a current model and everything, and it was it's made by the same people who make BMW, a Mini, but you could have got me. And it's like, in my mind, there'll be tiny hand claps like, we did it. Mm-hmm. Because, they think that's their bare minimum. So it means for their kids, and this is a weird thing for this next generation of, live on their phones, social media and all that stuff. There seems to be a real discrepancy between having cool stuff and working for it. I don't know if psychologists and counseling is going to be the boom career-wise, but it's probably going to have to be, because it's going to hit these people it's going to hit the people who are 22, 24 now. Like, you know what kind of work I got to do what my parents did, or, whatever. And it's like, yeah, they just left that part out. They didn't tell you about it, or they didn't whine about it. But yeah, no, they were busting their butt so you can go to Destin for 4 or 5 days, or, whatever it is, Miami. This sucks. I thought it was just kind of handed to you the way they used to hand it to us and say, here's your room key. We got a separate room for you. No, that mess cost. That means they had to pay double,
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly
no.
right.
Anyhow, I have, we're coming to the end of the podcast, and I cannot leave you without asking you 2 questions.
Sure.
One, how can I say this? What was the worst job? And I won't say the worst job. Name a time in your life and the job that you had where, and I ask this for my own guilty pleasure. I just like to know that other people had jacked up jobs too. Because I had a lot. And I won't say when I had said jobs, because some of them were pre-adult and some of them were post. More post than they should have been. Right. Name a time where you had a job that was so bad that you forgot you were getting paid. It may be a day. It may be a couple of months. It may just be a shift where you're like, oh, that's right, I am getting paid to do this. Go ahead. I'll let you have the floor.
That's interesting. That's a very interesting question, because now I'm trying to think through all my jobs where I was like,
your retail, your flipping burger, whatever it is, or it may be a job.
Yeah, because I never did food. I never wanted to do food, so I never did any type of food service or whatever. And where else have I worked? Here, there, wherever. I don't know. I don't know if there's definitely not a job where I was like, the hell is this that I'm doing? This is horrible. Oh, probably I worked for Sprint for like a week. Like I had to do like the sales. Oh,
you've already said too much, but yeah.
Yeah. So you had to call people and try to get them over to Sprint. I was in some little room. Oh, I remember. I was in some little room. If you looked at it from the outside, it looked like a little strip mall suite, right? Like nice little area. It was in Irvine too. But you go back, you're in this back room. It's horrible, bro. It's hot. The door's open. There's no AC. There's like these little phones that you're on. They're cheapy. It looks like, if you've seen that movie Boiler Room.
I know. God. I knew you were going to say that without knowing
right?
You were saying
and you remember the end where the guy was like, this is where we set everybody up if they come get us? That's where I worked.
Yeah.
But like in a 10 by 10 room with like 4 other people. And we're all just like, what are we doing? And some people were good at it. I'm like, no. I think that was like the worst job ever. Like the worst. I was like, there's no reason I should be here ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, after that I was like, I'm never doing sales again. I hate it. And I need to do something else with my life. Like I need to, like, I know I'm 20 and whatever, but like I need to be doing something. I remember feeling at that moment like I am too bright and smart to be sitting here doing this. And when I say that, I'm not trying to be like I'm better than people, because it's not easy to do sales. I just had a realization
it ain't
that
cheap.
This is not the way. Yeah, this is not how my brain works, and so I need to be doing something better for myself, right? Like I need to go figure out how my brain works and then go put it to work to do.
Oh
those
yeah,
things.
no, there's nothing wrong with that. That's something that I tell my kids all the time. Like that needs to be your bare minimum, realizing your strengths and what you're good at and what you aren't. And what you aren't, it's okay that you aren't.
Yeah.
Even if that aren't, follow what I'm saying, makes a lot of money. Yeah, no. Mine wasn't quite, well, I guess it was just as bad. Mine was one night. I used to work at Outback. I was a busboy that was promised, oh, no, you'll be a server in no time. I like to believe I was good enough to be a server eventually, but I was at Outback out in Palmdale. It was and for people in Palmdale, it was when Outback first opened. It was within that first year anyway. Friend of ours had got me the job. I was good at the job. But there was another busboy. He became my nemesis. Any Seinfeld fans, like Seinfeld to Newman. This dude, his name, I don't know his last name, so I can say his name. His name was Ryan. His dad, boy, small town. I don't know if he'll get back to him. He went to Coors Hill High School. I don't care. He's a punk. His dad owned, boy, I wanted to fight this dude in the parking lot. He was just a punk of a dude. So his dad owned or was like really responsible for the Jethawks, which is like a minor league baseball team out there. And they were brand new at the time. It was like 97. And this dude, he was like a baseball dude. And I don't know. I can't speak for everywhere, but in Palmdale, there was a certain type of guy that was a baseball guy. And some people out there are nodding their head right now like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. They weren't dorks. They're different. And this guy, he was a busboy with me, and he always found a way to benefit from his dad being I want to say he was the owner. He was something with Jethawks where the guy who ran our restaurant didn't want to mess with this dude. And this young dude knew that. So if it was 4th of July, if it was Halloween, Ryan magically found a way to get off early. And he had this weird, stupid mop top haircut that was very 90s. And he'd be like, yeah, man, I got to go. I'm off right now. And I'm like, oh, you're off? How'd you get off? Yeah, I guess you're closing. I know I was scheduled to close, but I got this thing I got to do. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're telling me I get to close because you have something else to do? So, right. Yeah. So there was one night in particular, it was a holiday. I don't remember. It wasn't 4th of July. It was something. And the restaurant was abnormally busy. And the manager, one of the managers there, he goes, hey, Keith, I had been busting my butt. No pun intended. I was a busboy. I've been busting my butt. And he goes, hey, Keith, I got a big job for you. And I was like, oh, and I'm thinking in my head, like, finally, I'm going to get moved up to being a server. I was like, it's about time. I can get from under this stupid dude named Ryan. And I'm like, okay, cool. And he goes, yeah, why don't you go ahead and follow me? Go ahead and take your apron off. And because I think the servers wore a slightly different apron. I was like, shut the front door. I was like, it's on. All right. I'm about to get
He's
tips.
like, it's happening. It's really happening.
Yeah, like these people would get like $300 in tips a night. I was like, oh, I'm getting all the Jordans. We going to Hollywood. Like it's on, right? You know, crackhead dreams.
Like we're going to the club. I'm gonna give Mo a cigarette this time. Like, hey, bro, I know you got me, so I got you.
Newport 100s. I'm gonna get him a pack.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna kill him fast. Anyhow.
Oh my gosh.
So this dude goes, follow me. I take my apron off and I'm like, what's up, man? His name was Jeff, balding old man with glasses, and he goes, yeah, go ahead and grab that bucket. And I was like, grab a bucket? I was like, this is not going the way I thought it was. And I go, okay, and follow me. And I go, what? And we go not to the men's bathroom, to the women's bathroom. And at this point, there was no promotion in sight. I wasn't that dense. I realized what was going on. I was like, and this bathroom smelled of ungodly holy hell. And I said,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I said, what's going on? And he couldn't even get it out. Like his face was blood red. He goes, I am so sorry, dude, but you are a busboy and you know, you're at the bottom of the totem pole, Keith. And I was like, what's up, man? He opens the stall, and maybe many people don't know this, and there's probably a few who do. Hopefully you work a better job now. Women, and I'll say this, I'll put my name on it. Women are much grosser than men when it comes to bathrooms. I know this because every night I worked there, I had to close and clean both the men and women's bathrooms. And it's not for the reason everyone's thinking like, oh, it's because of, women have women's stuff that, no, just in actual hygiene, the same hygiene. I'm not going to get graphic, but the same hygiene that men have, things they have to take care of. Disgusting. Well, whoever this woman was did not agree with the awesome bloomin' onion that was on the menu. And she chose to throw it at the wall, the toilet, everything. It was like someone had a balloon of chocolate pudding and just popped it in that stall with the door closed. I was like, oh.
There's no way you came out of there. There's no way you came out of there. Like, I feel good. I feel like I didn't get any on me. I feel like I can get into someone's car.
I'm going to tell you straight up. I remember it was a holiday night. I was supposed to get off earlier. All my friends were going to City Walk or Old Town Pasadena. And I had already given up on that. This is before cell phones and texting, y'all. So it was, well, if Keith was coming, he would have showed up by 10. It ain't 10. So we're out. I'm clean. This guy goes, I need you to clean all this up, bro. I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to put cones out so women know they can't use the bathroom. They'll have to use the men's. And I am so, so sorry. And in that moment, just because of who I am, got to make a lot of money. I was not going to let anything, even poop, mess with my money. And I was like, damn. I said, this is when you're supposed to quit the job. And I was like...
Right, in the movie, right?
Yeah,
like, this is where you do the big walkout and the big with the bird and all that.
Yeah, in the movie, this is when you quit the job. But in reality, and I live with my parents. I didn't have real bills. And I said, but this is going to mess with my money. I said, you know what? And I'm still this way today. I was like, do the job. But after tonight, be looking for something else because this isn't good enough anymore. We've made that decision. We come to that conclusion. I cleaned that thing spick and span with buckets of water I had to throw at the walls to get said scat to come off of the walls.
Oh my God.
And mopped it up, cleaned it up, did everything. It stunk. But anyway, cleaned it all up. I think the very next day, I hit one of my best friends, Miss Millie Giron. Millie Mia, sorry. I hit her up. She's laughing if she's listening to this episode. I hit her up because she worked at Gary's Tuxedo Shop, and I said, hey, I need a job. Because I think she had already kind of said, hey, fool, I can get you hired over here at Gary's Tuxedo Shop in the AV Mall. And I was like, I don't work at no tuxedo shop measuring dudes. I was like, that's gross. I was like, I'm good. After that, I hit her up. I was like, hey, I'm down. And she's like, you are? We could work together. It'd be cool. We'd be cracking jokes. I was like, yeah, I'm out. And sure enough, the next day, the job was pretty much mine. I think I interviewed with her district manager and I was out of there. I quit. And the guy was like, I have a funny feeling this is about the bathroom. I said, I'm going to be honest. I think it was. I said it was a big part of it. I said, but it's a better opportunity is what you're supposed to say because you never know where you have to go back to or whatever. Right. But the sweetest, the icing on the cake, the cherry on the sundae was knowing that dude Ryan with his stupid mop top from Quartz Hill High School that played baseball was now going to have to be the only busboy we had at that time. Oh, I would have cleaned another bathroom to guarantee that fate for him. I hated this dude. He was just such a punk. That's all I'll say. Great. I remember that.
I would have cleaned one more bathroom to be like, it's your turn. It's your turn for like 2, 3, 6 months.
Oh, man, I hope they hire somebody else. I was like, yeah, so do I, man. I was like, all right, then. Where are you going to go? I was like, I'm going to Gary's Tuxedo Shop. In the mall? You're going to miss out on tips. That's how he talked. I'm not making up a voice. And I was like, I don't care. I was like, it's cool. And me and Millie would laugh. We worked with a man who was 27 years old that worked at the Tuxedo Shop with us that to us at the age of 19, he must have been 42. Like just hearing his life. And we had the time of our lives just laughing and measuring men for tuxedos every day. But
when you look at the comparison to the way you told the story, because you're like, I'm not measuring no dudes. And then you're like,
I'll measure it.
Ooh, that stall's pretty bad. I mean, these dudes, they don't really be in here thinking anything. It's cool, you know what I'm saying? It's not like I'm touching them.
Get to walk around the mall, say hello to all your friends who you went to high school with. It was much better. I never looked back at the restaurant industry after that.
And when you tell the story, it makes me think like, why did I never want to go into food? And it was more like, I didn't want to carry trays. I didn't want to have this fake, like, how you doing all the time. And like the idea of like, if you don't feel well, like you still got to deal with these people and be nice and whatever.
Oh
I never
man.
even thought about like cleaning the bathroom or cleaning the vats or cook.
Yeah.
I never even got to that point because I was like, we're just never doing food. We'll do office jobs.
It was
I'll do computer
cool.
jobs,
It
but
was
I couldn't do it.
working in a restaurant. I will say this. It was like everybody said it was like a family. It really was. Like those people would hang after the restaurant closed, and I had some of the most fun times hanging out with those people because some of them were older than me. I mean, when I say older, I was 19. These people were like 24, 25, which felt like they were 35. So like they were these
Right.
people with worlds of knowledge and like they've been drinking and smoking. And I was like, whoa, like you guys, aren't your parents going to smell the smoke on you when you go home? They're like, I got my own place, bro. What are you talking about? I'm like,
Yeah, right.
oh, like,
Perspective is
yeah.
great.
Yeah. I
Oh,
was
it's so
like,
great.
dang, you're like, you could have a kid if you wanted to. I don't want no kid. I'm like, yeah, I don't either. Oh, yeah. It
Right.
was this great thing. But yeah, no, that
Well, your
takes
story beats mine. I can tell you
a
that
little
because
bit, a little bit. I had
my
some,
my I didn't have any horrible like jobs. They were none of them were horrible or horrible times, but they were I was young, so like I didn't put my all into it. So most of my like shortcomings at a job was because I was like, well, I'm gonna be late again. Well, I missed the bus today. Well,
oh,
it was all me, right? It was never like, man, you just suck as a person, or I didn't like the idea of it, but it's like, what am I gonna do? Unemployment ran out. I got to go get a job, right? Or
oh yeah, no.
whatever was going on with me, right? Until until I met, well, when I met Plez, that's when I was like, look at this guy, because I never had any friends. How do I put this? I don't want to be mean to them, of course, but like when I saw Plez, because I remember the car he had and all that, and then he was working at Print Nation, he was dressing up for work, and I was like, who is this black guy like this? Because I grew up in Santa Ana, so it's mostly like uh, a lot of Mexicans, and then of course whatever other Latin cultures were
I
there.
know what you mean.
Some white people, of course, and then a lot of Vietnamese. So you know, you get used to what you see. Some Samoans
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh,
people from
totally.
Pacific Island. So you know, you get used to like, okay, so the Asians do this, right, and the white people do this, and you know, you're trying to find your spot, and you don't see a lot of black representation. So when I met Plaz, I was like, he knows like HTML, and he works at Print Nation. I was like, what is this madness? I was like, who are you, bro? I was like, we got to be friends. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so just the idea of not having someone, because my father, I think he left when I was 2. I saw him up till I was like 12 and then not again. And then my stepfather was in the military. And after what he went through in the military, I was like, hell no. And he wanted me to go. And I was like, nope, nope,
Mm-mm. Yeah, I was cool
never.
on that.
I'm not, and that's part of my whole like struggle with America. I'm not like, not that I'm not patriotic, because when the Olympics come on, I'm like, you know, like they say in the little memes, these colors don't run. But besides that, I'm like, I don't know. Are you treating me fair today, or am I going in the back of a car today? Like, what are you feeling like today, America? Who am I to you today, right? How do you see me?
I hear
Do I have a
you.
ski mask on? Do I not? Right? So when I saw Plez, and then I saw the other jobs he was getting, and I was like, dude, I gotta get my life together. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, this guy can do this stuff. He went to UC Santa Barbara, which of course, you know, I went up there and saw you guys a couple times and some other people and whatnot. And that's when I really was like, okay, I gotta start doing something. I gotta figure something out. And then when he got with Time Warner Cable, he was telling me, bro, you should come over here. You do techie stuff and all that. Like, why are you working at some, you know, office manager, whatever, doing pushing paper? Like, come on. And then that's when like the trajectory of my current position or my current career, it just took off. Like I got in there. Excuse me. I think my first promotion was like 8 months. My next promotion was like a couple of years learning that job, and then I got promoted to lead, and then I promoted again and again. And then when I got to I think where he was, I think he had left that already. I became a knock technician, and I could hear the engineers on the phone talking during maintenances, and I was like, I found it. that's what I'm gonna do. And then I started studying, and then it was off. I was boom, 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 and I went from like nobody to engineer. I think in like 4 or 5 years, tripled my salary. I was like, oh, who is this guy? I was like, I was this guy before. When was I this guy? Why wasn't I this guy at 21?
Well,
what was I
you're
doing?
motivated. That's what it
Right.
is. Like,
right. And so when I think of like what you talk about on this podcast, like the idea you have around it, I think that's why I want to teach and train.
yeah, no,
And why I tell
I
my
can hear
kids,
that in your voice. I can totally hear it. Like, that's where we're similar. I can totally hear that, because it's not even, you just genuinely enjoy, in my opinion, I'm stumbling on my words because I'm thinking of so many things, like a flurry of thoughts as I'm trying to say what I'm saying. You enjoy doesn't even give it. Like, it's not work for you to do what you're doing. The thought that you have, even though you haven't done it, to do what you've done in your mind, it's not even work. It probably almost feels like a crime to even charge money. Like, I'm getting over on you guys. Like, I'll put it this way. If someone paid me to do what I'm doing right now, talking with you, I would feel like eventually they're going to catch me. Like, they paid me last week, but eventually they're going to be like, yo, you thought you were slick. Like, no. Yeah. But, it is what it is. Anyhow, I will go ahead and cap it right here, Mr. Mo. This is probably my longest podcast, and to your credit, I will bow and say I'm not cutting anything out.
Are you not cutting it? I thought for sure you're gonna go back and edit and be like, we gotta chop some of this out. We gotta figure this out.
For people who have made it this far on the podcast, this. How can I put this? For people who listen to podcasts, and I mean really listen to podcasts, you're doing this while you're driving. You're doing this, if you can, while you're working. We are what used to be your morning radio, your afternoon radio on that commute home. We're keeping you company. I mean, that's how I've always looked at podcasts. Like, I'm listening to it. I'm actively listening to it. But if you were to only give me 30 minutes of something like this, I'd be pretty angry, because I got to go to another episode and you're going to talk about something different. I enjoy it. I enjoy inviting those people that I listen to, into my ear space for a bit. And, they've never met me, but in my mind, I'm sitting right in the room with them, just having a conversation. Right. So we'll cap it here. For all of those listening, if you can, leave a comment. If you're listening to this on Apple, Spotify, I'm on Pandora, I'm on, Podcast Republic, all of these different platforms, I'm on them. Look me up. Well, obviously you're already on it. You're listening to me. Leave a comment. Seriously. It helps. I do have some goals as far as this podcast is concerned. I do want it to grow. I'll ask you, Mo, share it with whoever. If you're on social media, you're going to have your people, whoever your sphere of influence, they used to say in real estate, listening to this, share it, and for anyone that's listening that digs this, suggest it, share it. What's interesting, I will say this, I've had a couple of people tell me this. After getting clear instruction on how to find said podcast, so I go to the podcast app and I'm like, if you have an iPhone, it's even easier than if it were a Droid like myself. Go to the purple podcast app, type in on the search, Grow Up Already. And you will see my goofy face in front of a bed of roses, and that's me. And hit subscribe. You hit subscribe, you'll get notifications for every new episode that I usually drop every Sunday night. Anyhow, Mo, any final thoughts?
Well, I just want to say thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. I'm glad we got to catch up in this way as well, and hopefully my words might inspire someone to maybe start something a little earlier or look into something a little quicker, put some more thought into something. Because I feel like from having this conversation, it's funny you bring it up. I've been thinking about like a YouTube channel or a podcast or a blog or getting my wife into it, something else, right? Something that is, as you say, fun, right? You
Breaks the
enjoy to
matrix,
do.
I always
Right,
say, like,
exactly.
if you've ever watched the Matrix, like, there's those people who, I don't know, I don't remember enough from the movie to know if they had a choice. I mean, they gave Neo a choice, but those people that just lived in the Matrix and just did the same thing every day, like,
Hmm.
this is my, I'm gonna break the matrix. Like, I'm gonna break out of my regular routine, my regular schedule, and just do it. Now, I'm not gonna talk about planning it for 3 or 4 months, but yeah, your YouTube channel, even if it fails, like I was talking to my buddy Matt, I was like, there's no rules anymore. Like, that's why I
Right.
started doing woodwork. Like, who are you to do woodwork? No one ever trained you in woodwork, Keith. I'm like, I know. I might be able to, I probably can't even make a chair, but you know what? I make enough money. I'm going to go buy a table saw and some things and some wood, and I'm going to just do it. And if I sell it all
Okay.
on OfferUp a month later, oh, well, I did it.
I mean, that's great still. That's kind of what I was talking to my wife about.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what
she
I'm
was
saying.
feeling
There's no
very,
rules to this life. You, I'm judging or guessing. I know for me and Plez, we went to high school in an environment that was a lot like the movie Mean Girls, but for dudes, for young
mm,
black dudes, like with really
yeah,
good haircuts and polo gear. Um, just the way it
I do
was.
remember the polo game.
Oh, polo gear always. He'll figure what?
Yeah.
And some
Okay.
J's. So there were certain things that if you stepped out and said, you know what, dog? I always thought, I think I want to do tap dancing. What?
Hmm.
You big old,
Hmm.
punk. I'll say that. So, but now you get to an age where it's like, oh, we don't. Yeah, I recognize I have a lot of time in front of me, but not as much as I had before. I'm closer to 60 than I am to 20.
Hmm.
Maybe I'm not. Yeah, no, I am. I am a little by a little. I'm gonna go ahead and take that lesson. If I want to do karate with the little kids, like Rick James said, we go doing karate with the little kids. If I want to
Right.
do that, I'm gonna do it. And if I
Right.
say, you know what, give me my money back, this sucks, fine. At least I did it. I didn't talk about it for four
Hmm.
months and then hope that people forgot. That's what this podcast is I don't make anything off of it. I just enjoy. I was gonna do, little secret. I would have done this with people anyway. I would have called
Hmm.
you anyway, and I would have, like I told Ples, I said, "Dog, we're just doing what we would have done anyway,
Right.
talking with
Literally.
people." Yeah, like,
Literally. Yeah.
yeah, I've had conversations with people about being on the podcast, like my friends at the credit union. The conversation I had with, I think it was 3 women at once last Saturday, could have been on the podcast anyway. Like, we were just chatting about not living in California and Florida and all that. I would have been doing this anyway. So, yeah, not making any money from it, but it's just fun. It's just connecting with people. That's what drives me. Now, for the next person, it might be working on a car or whatever. Just go do it, man. Because time
Yeah.
doesn't care. 5 years will flash, gone.
Oh my God.
And you'll still
You're
be
exactly
looking
right.
at a piece of paper or a vision board in your closet going, no, I'm going to get it going. I'm going to get it going. Whatever it
Yeah.
is. Like, just go do it. Just go do
Yeah.
it. It's cool once you
You're
get
right.
that ball rolling. It really is.
Basically, take that whole idea. This is what my wife told me. She was like, I think my issue is I see something and I want to do the whole idea.
Ah,
I
yeah.
was like, yeah, that's the problem. It's a whole project, right? The whole, all the you see all of it, and it's like, no, 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 no. Day one is idea, right? Day two is, I don't know, write an article if it's a blog, right? Day
Yeah.
three is,
Yeah.
what do I want to name it, right? But we don't, right? We look at it and we go, yeah, a whole blog. Whoa, that's a lot. I'm gonna go wash the dishes. Because that's easier, right? You already know how to do it.
Yeah, I learned that principle with building out my basement, and some people have seen pictures and things of that. It was just walls and studs, and that's where the woodworking came in. What you just said right there, I have repeatedly applied that principle since then to everything in my life. Just, you know what? This entire 1,250 square foot basement is a lot. So I'm just going to start with this left side of the ceiling. I'm just going to shoot some wood up there with this nail gun I got. And if it looks ugly, I'll just rip it back down. And I just kept going. And I said, you know what? I remember my brother was like, you're going to do the entire ceiling? And I was like, yeah. I said, I'm going to do 10 pieces a day. But you could do 20. I go, but I could do 10. And I would just do 10 pieces, walk away. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, and it just kept going from there. But only thing is, make sure you don't stop. So it could be, you know, oh, so-and-so's got a performance at the school. I'd be like, that means I'm going to get off work earlier if I can, because I got to get my 10 pieces up. I wouldn't tell anybody because they would go, oh, how dare you do your hobby while... No. Yeah, just go do your 10 pieces, and as long as you got it done, just like gym time, hey, I got it in. I'm good. Like that's, you know, but a lot of people don't hold that as much easier to go, nah, let's order a pizza.
Right. Well, like I said, thank you. I appreciate it because I think it was a great conversation. I think people can take what they will from that 2 hours of fun we just had.
Yeah, but
even if they get a micro nugget and they go use it, I mean, you're making the world a better place. So,
yeah, that's the goal for that, man. You I appreciate
it.
You know?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Children are the future. Right. Oh, man. All right, Mo. Hey, everybody. Once again, thank you for listening. Everyone drive home safe. Pay attention to the road. I hope we entertained you. I hope we didn't put you to sleep with both of our bass-heavy voices. You know, enjoy. Again, leave a comment if you can. And I will be right back with you with another episode soon enough. Thank you and good night.